No,
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Let me try. Let me turn this off and see.
Oh. Hey, everybody, welcome to our show. You kind of halfway caught us in setup mode. We're setting up, and this is our star. This is Melissa. Melissa, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Great, folks. For those of you who don't know, Melissa's been with me as blogger and vlogger since 2010, and this is we're going into 2021. Did I say that right? 20.
2021.
Yeah, I did say that kind of right. It just sounds so mind-boggling. And hey, that's wild. Hey, so we are in an interesting situation here because we have the Ravens led by Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, and then of course Tua with the Dolphins. But we're focusing on the Ravens, and this is an epic last week where you have all of these teams that are both in the AFC and the NFC logjam, but the AFC, oh my lord, they especially logjam. Let's take a look at this playoff picture that is presented to us by the league, and it reports. First of all, we can work down here. It's the Chiefs are 14-1, AFC West first place, no change. The Bills, which clobbered the Patriots last night, 12-3 first. The Steelers are 12-3, and then in the hunt, look at this. There are four playoff berths available, not one available to the Raiders. The Titans, the Dolphins, the Ravens considered rising up, and the Browns considering falling, and then on the bubble, Colts. But look at this: 10-5, 10-5, 10-5, 10-5, 10-5. That is freaking crazy.
Mhm.
Melissa, what do you think of that nutty picture?
It is crazy. So a lot of teams with the really good records, and some of them aren't gonna make the playoffs.
Which let's take a look at the here, and with a focus, of course, on the beloved Baltimore Ravens. They are rising up, having beaten the Giants severely. But
Mm.
who they play next week?
Bengals.
Wow. And you have a fear of them, right? I think.
Yes, little nervous to play them because
Uh,
they have played spoiler before a few years ago.
take us back to that glorious or inglorious.
It was not
Inglorious. Sorry.
painful.
Inglorious. Inglorious. Yes.
It was the New Year's Eve game, and it was, yeah, if the Ravens won that game, they would have advanced to the playoffs. And um, yeah, it was freezing that night. I went to the game, froze my ass off, and like held on, to hope that they would win. I think the Ravens were leading, and it was late in the game. There was like maybe a couple minutes left where the Bengals scored a touchdown and won the game. It was just such a painful loss because Ravens should have won the game, but then it um, got away from them, and unfortunately, that did not happen. So it was a very painful way to end the season, freezing out there on New Year's Eve.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not fun.
Those are the Marvin Lewis coached Bengals, right?
Yes,
Wow. So
yeah, but yeah.
you have that much faith in these Bengals, even though they're coached by uh,
I don't even know their coaches who's coaching them.
they're
Um,
used to be the Rams offensive coordinator, and the Bengals coach is he was supposedly one of these supposedly offensive genius type play
Mm-hmm.
the coaches who was player friendly and all that stuff, but the reality is that Zach Taylor has not lived up to his billing,
Mm.
uh, and so he's not a Marvin Lewis. In fact, I think the Bengals ought to fire him and bring back Marvin Lewis, and then he would really give everybody bellyache. You really have some reason to get to bellyache, you know. But this time, I don't. Although they do seem to be peaking at the right time.
Well, when they played the Steelers last week, they looked really good. Now, granted, the Steelers did not look very good in that game. I mean, that game was, I guess, the opposite of like what everyone expected that game to be. But I will say that I thought the Bengals looked pretty good, and their defense was good. Like they played really good that night. So, um, I don't know. Like, yeah, again, it was against the Steelers, and the Steelers' offense was really bad that night. So I don't know. Like, is it? Was it just because they played a team that wasn't very good? Um, but yeah, but I get nervous more than most people. A little passionate, and so, but also, I know that it's any given Sunday, anything can happen. There's no guarantees. Um, on paper, it looks like it should go one way, but it doesn't always happen that way. So,
Why do I get the feeling, Melissa, that this team would have two additional wins on its belt had it not been for the coronavirus?
um, very possible. I mean, that messed up a lot of things. Like not having Lamar and missing a lot of starters really did hurt us. So yeah, I mean, who knows? We'll never know what those games would have been like had there been no coronavirus. But yeah, I think that there would have been at least one more win.
Yeah, I mean, I there was a particular the game was against where RG3 started, and was that
Yeah,
that wasn't the Titans game? That was
that was the oh my God, was that the Steelers game?
it was the Steelers.
It was the Steelers game.
It was the Steelers, yeah. And that was a game where they really needed Lamar and didn't have him.
Mm-hmm.
RG3 played well, but he didn't play well enough to win, and the defense didn't really do its job either.
Mm-hmm.
We thought, So I feel like going into this game, the Ravens are at fuller strength than they were.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're looking much, much better. And even, I mean, they they've improved a lot. Like they had that losing streak, and then it was they've recovered from the players who had COVID, and just kind of gelling, like peaking at the right time. But no, we'll see what happens. And also, I mean, Lamar has just looked a lot better, and he looks like he's having fun now. Like there was some games where he looked a little nervous out there. I don't know. He didn't seem to be in peak form. He didn't look like how he looked last season.
He looked tentative.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that maybe going through that mini ordeal against Cleveland jump started him? I mean, because he was even in that game, he started off okay, and then he got hot, and then he got
Mm-hmm.
hit, and then he went out, and just when you thought, oh my lord, this is not gonna pan out with the backup there,
Oh,
Heineken,
Trace McSorley.
Sorley, yeah,
Yeah.
and McSorley. The minute McSorley got hit and went down,
Mm-hmm.
out of the bathroom or whatever it was he was doing. I said,
Right.
here comes Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Woo! I mean, you still. I mean, when the epitaph is written, you know that is going to be included in some kind of way. I don't know how, but some kind of way. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, that was crazy. That game. Oh God, that was a crazy game.
To
Like,
say the
yeah.
I think are you
Not for
going?
the faint of heart.
No, no, and we're okay. So since you don't like to answer your phone during the games, I know I've tried, folks.
Right.
It's unreachable. I mean, do you throw things when things?
No. I am actually no, I am not a violent person. I can't there are times where I feel like I can't breathe. Like it's almost like I'm holding my breath.
Oh, D Brown says, "Hey D." D says it was a beautiful thing to watch. Can't lie. Uh, talking about the Lamar bathroom game.
Yeah.
This got it's got to
That's
have some kind of nickname to it, right?
yeah. But the the
And then
bathroom jokes are just oh my God. Not a good visual.
oh my god, I think that I'll take that over
Mm.
Ryan Patrick telling people that he had to go pee. You know, um, after their win,
Mm.
after the Dolphins won against the Raiders, and I happened to be doing the live stream after the Raider game Saturday night, and I found Ryan Fitzpatrick's post game interview,
Mm.
and he opens it up with having to explain to the world that he had to go pee.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was the ultimate example of country bumpkinism.
Right.
And country bumpkinism mixed in with a little bit of like a sage of inappropriateness. So
Mm.
it's like, what is? Where are we going with this? I mean, to Lamar's credit, he didn't subject us to such improprieties, did he?
No.
You, Lamar. Thank you very, very much. Hey, these Raven statistics look like this. Okay, total first downs, Ravens 303, opponents 337. By rushing, the Ravens got 147 by first downs by rushing, 139 by passing, by penalty 19. Third down conversions, they of 190 they converted 90. 190 they converted 90, which puts them just under 50%. Opponents are even more under that by a factor of I think roughly 30% eyeballing it. Fourth down conversions, Ravens get the majority of them. Opponents do not. Total offensive yards, Ravens 5,285. Opponents 5,081. They have 920 plays they ran off. Average yards 5.7, which and they are 3 yards over their opponents. Total rushing yards 5.3. The league averages their average rather is 4.4 of their opponents. So they're beating their opponents where it counts. Total passing yards 246 in terms of completions, attempts, and their average is 7.2 sacks, 39 sacks versus 32. That's a bit troubling, but I'm wondering how much of that came from Pittsburgh when they played and RG3 played and they beat them, because that tacked on a few. There were a couple of games, and then touchdowns. So time of possession, the Ravens, 30 minutes versus their opponents at 29 minutes. Turnover ratio, Ravens are plus 3. So there you go. I mean, they've got the makings of a team that's going to playoffs the right way, huh?
Yes.
And
Mm,
but let's play a scenario. Let's say if they have to, let's say if the playoffs happen,
mm,
let's go back to this. Right here. Right there. Okay. In terms of our teams and the playoff picture and everything else. Oh, this is who's the most complete team heading into the playoffs. Let's see what this never plays for some reason. I don't know. NFL Total Access never plays. See, it just goes now. You know what? Now it plays. Ooh, it's going to work. Are we going to have something here? Um, maybe we are. Maybe if I push the button, all right. Oh, wait a minute. We have something
heading into the playoffs.
Okay.
Coach, can you start us off here?
All right.
Yeah, no question, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They have gotten back to that formula that led them to the number one seed last year. Let's look at New York. 35 minutes time of possession this last week. 250 yards
Let's hear him
rushing.
say that
Lamar
again.
Jackson
One more
only
time.
26
One more time.
Team heading into
He was just happy to be paid by the Ravens brass for a time. You know, it's maybe he might be still under Biscotti's payroll. Is he? I don't know. Still around town.
I don't know, or it could just be a little bias.
Just a smidgen. I mean, but that's okay, right?
That's okay.
You think the Ravens can beat the Bills? Because the Bills look like they're the front runners, other than the Chiefs.
Yeah. I mean, I think they can, or they could if they had to play them, but I think that is going to be that would be a tough game, and it's going to be in Buffalo. That game would be in Buffalo.
Oh,
Yeah, so playing Buffalo in January.
Now, are you happy with Buffalo's success, or are you happy for them?
I don't know.
Are you sick of hearing about the Bills?
I don't really have a feeling either way about them. It's
Some-
like, in a way, I'm kind of like, okay, it's as long as it's not. It's nice having a team other than the Patriots, like doing something in that division, because I can't imagine for all those years they had to deal with the Patriots, to deal with Tom Brady, Patriots. So, I mean, kind of feel for him.
And that squeaky voice of his, let's go, let's go. I mean, he sounds like Mighty Mouse, you know, let's go, let's go. Yeah, it was like, you know, he's taller than me. He's 6'4". I should watch what I say. But the whole point but let's see what they must have to say about that, since we are get the it's like that okay. Oh my Lord, I was just about to lose it. No. But think about it. Of all the teams, hey, Big Joe says, as much as I hate KC, me being a Raider fan, nobody's stopping KC. What do you think, Melissa?
Well, after that game this Sunday against the Falcons, KC didn't look like they were all that. Now, granted, I didn't watch, so I just saw the highlights and like what happened in that game. And yeah, they didn't look like the number one seed in that game.
No, not only did they not look like they were number one seed, they were embarrassed on what is their normal bread and butter, popular, gimmicky play. And I have to give it to the Falcons. That was, I think, my friend Annie Agar, who covered the NFL draft in Michigan when we were covering it, now has congratulations to her through Casey Wasserman, a big spot with ESPN doing these Instagram meme kind of deals. Had, when she was putting on her Falcons shirt, she had a choke like that. And, you know, I think she's absolutely right. That's exactly what happened. And they the Falcons just completely should have beaten the Chiefs, but didn't beat the Chiefs.
Right.
They had no business at all mounting up a score that was basically as bad as it was. In fact, I'm saying that, and let me take you to the highlights from that just to show you what we're talking about here. Here's week 16. I'm not going to show you all the highlights because it's 16 minutes, but I do want to run you through, in particular, this particular play that was here we go.
Going quick here, 4-man rush.
They've got the
Pressure up the middle. Holmes going to take off and
take that off of there, yeah. And that was 7-0. But then, as we go through, now sometimes the Chiefs get too cute by half, and normally what this play was, folks, is it's a trick play where it's a throwback to Patrick Mahomes. But what happened was that Keanu Neal intercepted the pass. And it's funnier. It's funny because you see the Chiefs go through all these different. I just found it, I believe. Yep, I just found it. Hold on a second. It was right there. I believe it was. Here it is. Okay, folks, right. Let's move it right back to here. And then right here. Okay. They don't quite show the shift. Wait, watch carefully that play off. What you miss in this, and the reason why it was hard for me to find this replay is because what they took out was where in this play right here, this was the completion of a kind of a weird shift where they look like they're dancing like Fred Astaire. And they wind up in this position, and then they snap the ball like that, okay? And it's a fake and it's a hand, okay, that. But the shift that happens before this makes you think, what the heck are they doing? And the Chiefs have done that before. But this time, and it worked for a touchdown. But this time, it didn't. And it was hilarious. It was just hilarious to see the whole thing. I just cracked up. So I think, and I say that not just because that was funny, it was, but because teams have caught up to the Chiefs, and I think it's going to bite them in the playoffs. For example, the Miami Dolphins sacked Patrick Mahomes for a 30-yard loss and arguably should have beaten the Chiefs in Miami, but didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs are getting away with literal murder and not losing these games they should lose, and they're winning them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you think. I have a feeling they're going to get their comeuppance in the playoffs. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're beatable. Like, whoever plays them has a chance of beating them.
Yeah. Now, give me a prediction for the Ravens game against the Bengals.
No, I don't do like doing predictions. Like, I don't do, like, I think they're going to win, but I don't know what score. Like, I just never do score predictions.
Let's do it an entirely other way. What kind of game would you like to see out of the Ravens coming up?
I'd like to see a dominant game. Just like, where they look good, like offensively, they're scoring, and like defensively, they're just able to stop the Bengals. I mean, it's a division game, and they're typically like, they can be tough games. I mean, there are times that they're a little lopsided, but in general, just because AFC North is just very like, most of the teams have very strong defenses. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how this game goes. I mean, I'm excited about this game, but I also am a little nervous just because I don't know how it'll play out. But as much as I think the Ravens will win, there's no guarantee. there's always that little chance that they may not, and so just have to see what happens. But essentially, it's a playoff game for them. It is, yeah.
Go
Yeah.
Ravens. I'll call this the anti-Zach Taylor bowl. Yeah, because I'm sorry, I didn't think Marvin Lewis should have been fired from the Bengals, and I loved the AFC North, what we used to call the AFC Central, but now I love the AFC North when you had Harbaugh coaching, Marvin Lewis coaching the Bengals, Mike Tomlin over the Steelers, and who am I leaving? I'm leaving out somebody.
The Browns, but they've had a revolving door of coaches.
The Browns have been such an enigma.
Yeah.
I mean, that I didn't know how to. I just realized now that when I think of the Browns, I think of this is going to sound weird, but I think of Michael Myers. I don't know why, but except that they're not. But the Browns aren't actually doing anything like Michael Myers, except they're doing it to themselves.
Mm.
You know, it's like they have the Halloween mask on. It's always the joke is always on themselves.
Yeah.
So I think, but all kidding aside, that group, the Browns, Steelers, Ravens, and
Bengals.
And the Bengals. Sorry, folks. It's that folks don't get osteoarthritis. It does weird things to your brain. I'm just saying. It's like, but meloxicam I highly recommend. But I miss those. Those were great games. Those were hitting games. They were bringing it, and they had the drama. Like the Bengals had all the players on their teams that did bad things, like Vontaze Burfict, who hit,
right.
Who, I mean, look, let's face it, this dude was a dirty player, okay? I mean, he came to the Raiders and stayed for just a few months. Vontaze Burfict was so dirty, he stayed for just a few months. I mean, he didn't even stay the whole season. It was just like, that was it. And then he's the guy that hit Antonio Brown. I think he hit Antonio Brown so hard that he knocked the poor man's noggins out of place. He's never been straight since, and his behavior has shown it. And I'm sorry, I am an unabashedly big Antonio Brown fan. I really am, because I think that, and maybe the Bucs are it, but I think it's with the right team, he can really get back to being a scourge in the NFL in a good way. What do you think of Antonio Brown?
I mean, I think he's a really good player. But he just his off picks and issues, that's what I have a problem with. And it's like you just don't know who you're gonna get with him.
Mm-hmm.
He could be an amazing player and then do something really stupid when he's not playing. And it's just it's like a Jekyll and Hyde.
What bothers me about the whole issue, and this gets into Dwayne Haskins too, and just black players with the NFL in general, in particular, ones that come from the South. I think the league. Well, let me explain this in another way. I'll go back to year 2000 in Atlanta, my first Super Bowl. And my longtime friend Kofi Bonner was chief administrative officer with the Cleveland Browns. And he and I were at the Atlantic Grill down in the lobby hanging out because, Super Bowls, there's always this place you go it's like to be a looky-loo, right? Everybody wants to see who else is going to be there, right? So the thing was to hang out in the lobby. In this case, we're hanging out in the restaurant lounge. And Tim Couch, then Kentucky quarterback, wasn't even officially drafted by the Browns, but look, the Browns were already working out the contract. He was going to be number one. That was it. And Kofi was saying, look, he's pointing to Tim Couch. And Tim was walking in front of us. He said hi to Kofi for a second, Kofi introduced him to me. And this guy was bookended by a couple of big dudes. front and back. And he said that that's protecting our investment. Point is, he was chaperoned.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't get in any trouble, right? He could, and now I think the NFL needs to do that with its players, and in particular, anytime a player is young and maybe doesn't have the right structure, I think they need to build that structure because that person represents the NFL brand, and it just
Mm-hmm.
the NFL is just sort of content to have this laissez-faire attitude, and then pretend like they have no say or responsibility, and they really do because they're the ones that gave him all that money. I don't know. What do you think? I say in particular with black players because of there's so much that can happen to us in society as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you just foist a 23 or 22 or 20-year-old kid? I don't care if he's got $20 million. Why do that? Make him have this big head and then toss him out into society where you're going to almost invariably have him encounter some, Nazi
Mm-hmm.
who just wants to basically bring him down the size. There should be somebody from the league that says, you're not going to do that. When, by the way, you can't be here. And if you're drunk, you don't rent a car. You call this number and we will come and get you. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what, I mean, am I wrong? I just, what do you think?
No, I think I agree with you. It's people do stupid things and they don't think. And so but I feel like it's like they have to like hold their hands a little bit. It's almost like in the beginning. When they're first drafted and playing, maybe teach them some of this. I mean, I know they teach the players. I think they still teach them what they'd instituted about with their money, like, just being smart with money and not, spending all of it, giving it to people, like, saving, investing, because their careers, it's a short career. So they make a lot of money in a short period of time. So teaching them how to be financially responsible, I think that's something like that as far as like, just behavior and like how you act in real life and how even like on social media, because that's another like part of this where it's like you can say stupid things and or maybe just not, maybe not even be on it. Like maybe you're not allowed to be on it like, in the beginning of your career. But yeah, just kind of maybe initially sort of holding their hand.
Yeah.
They're adults and they should know how to act responsibly and everything. But I think that, it's easy to say, but in reality, sometimes it's the fame, the money, it goes to your head.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't think.
No, and I think as I think about it more, I remember I think in general, regardless of color, where Rubin is wrong is that it's not just black players that pay attention to Instagram accounts; it's everybody,
Mm-hmm.
And I was reminded of that when I was looking at a video I told you about. We were just talking, where I went to Time Warner Center to meet Ali Velci about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking about how Ali and I were talking about social media, how people are trying to build their brands through social media and all that. I was thinking, God, all that stuff applies to today. But it's everywhere. And I think when I think about that, I think about Donald Penn, who was our offensive tackle with the Raiders. And Donald had and probably still has the same Instagram account. But there was this guy named Saul, who was a Raider fan, also a fan of this channel for quite a while. But Saul would like to get on Instagram and make snide remarks about players when he thought they didn't do well, Raider players, called all kinds of names and words and all that stuff. And then basically in Donald Penn's case, Donald shot back at him on Instagram and basically threatened him.
Oh,
threatened him.
wow.
Yeah, threatened him. And to make matters worse, okay, after it was we lost at the Coliseum. I want to say 4 years ago, and here comes Saul out where the players come out in their cars out of the parking lot between the Coliseum stadium and the arena, and he's taunting him like, "Hey, here I am," and this is all on camera.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Penn doesn't have just a car.
Mm.
Donald Penn had a 2016 brand new black on four-door Bentley Continental.
Mm.
He stops his six-figure car, probably $200,000, gets out of the car specifically to find fights.
Oh, wow.
The visual of that has never left my mind. I'm thinking, are you kidding me, dude?
That's
Saul
crazy.
is smaller than you. He's poor. He's a kid, and you're gonna get out of your big, luxurious, super expensive car that
Mm.
says, "I got money and you don't."
Right.
You know, and that's the kind of behavior, and that's gotten. So my point is that I think where Booger was wrong isn't just black players that have that problem.
Right.
That's society. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
society. In fact, I just figured out what my next vlog is going to be to follow up on that. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. I think I just figured out the answer to my question. Hey, I promised you 30 minutes. It's 41 minutes. So go Ravens, right?
Go Ravens.
Go Ravens. So hey, tomorrow night, folks, we're going to have our birthday party at 9:00. And Melissa, would you please do me a favor and remind me to be awake? That's an inside joke. Deadly serious.
And to set your alarm. Set your phone alarm.
I did though.
Oh, and you slept through it.
Yeah, I slept through it. So yeah. So since it's a birthday party for Zenny 62 and I've invited everybody, just even if you can't make it at 9, just paying me to make sure I'm awake 30 for my own party. Folks, Zenny 62 Media turns 1 tomorrow. Today's Tuesday, and I mean, we had some successes. I don't know. What do you think? How do you think we did and could do and all that?
You keep growing.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done it without you. Thank you for hanging in there and all that. And I'm not going to get misty-eyed. I'll save that for tomorrow. So, folks, I'm going to get out of here because I promised her to boot myself and us. So, anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, and by the way, folks, oh, shoot. Oh, my Lord. All right. I need you know what? This is what see?
Cute.
Yeah, it makes me feel better. So, we have an announcement. Former Oakland Raider tight end Raymond Chester is going to be our guest tomorrow at 7:00 Eastern, 4:00 Pacific. Isn't that right? Yes. So, yeah. So Little Bear and I are inviting you all to come back this way and watch as we talk Raider football, NFL, the pandemic, and all that great stuff at 7:00 Eastern. And of course, our birthday party's at 9:00. Isn't that right? Yeah. So there you go. All right. So he's saying bye, everybody. We'll see you. So Melissa, stick around in the background. That ends this broadcast, folks. We'll see you.